All right, let's talk about one of the biggest headaches in the world of enterprise software. How do you build these massive, powerful applications that are actually built to last? We're going to break down the solution, and it all revolves around something SAP calls a clean core.
But first, let's just start with the one question that I'm sure keeps countless developers and business leaders up at night. You spent years, maybe even decades, customizing your core systems to work just right for your business. But now, it's upgrade time. So how in the world do you move forward without completely shattering all that custom work you depend on? This is the central problem we're going to solve today.
So how are we going to tackle this? Well, here's the game plan. First, we're going to look at two fundamental new rules that completely change how we think about this. Then, we'll check out the modern blueprint for building an app. From there, we'll actually build a clean app, step by step. We'll even see how to make it talk to other code, and finally, we'll wrap it all up with the huge, future-proof payoff for doing things this new way.
Okay, so first things first. Before we even think about writing a single line of code, we have to get our heads around a huge philosophical shift behind how modern applications are built at SAP. It really comes down to two big new rules.
Rule number one is this idea of code to data. Now, you know the old way, right? You'd pull these massive, and I mean massive amounts of raw data from the database up to your application server, and only then would you start filtering and calculating. It was so slow, so clunky. The new way? It completely flips that script. With incredibly powerful in-memory databases like SAP HANA, we push the logic, the actual code, down to the data. The database does all the heavy lifting, and only the final, tiny result comes back up. The performance jump is, well, it's just incredible.
And then there's rule number two, clean core. And this is the direct answer to that big, scary question we started with. The old way was to build your custom apps by hooking them directly into the standard SAP database tables. It was like building a house of cards on a wobbly table. The second SAP pushed an update that changed one of those tables, bam, your custom app would just break. The clean core strategy says no more. You only interact with the core system through stable, released APIs that SAP promises won't change. This is it. This is how you build apps that are future-proof.
Okay, so we've got the what and the why. Now, let's get into the how. The toolkit that lets us bring all these principles to life is called the ABAP RESTful Application Programming Model. Yeah, it's a mouthful, so we just call it RAP. Think of it as the standard blueprint for building any modern, cloud-ready business app today.
Now, this can seem kind of abstract at first, but there's a really great way to think about it. It's like building a car. The RAP model has three distinct layers. First up, you have the data model. This is your engineering blueprint. It defines the whole structure of your app. Then you have the behavior definition. This is like the car's user manual. It spells out everything the app can do, like create new data, update it, or delete it. And finally, you have the behavior implementation. That's the engine under the hood. It's the actual code that makes it all go.
And for brand new apps, we almost always use something called the managed scenario. Now, what's so cool about this? Well, it basically means the RAP framework does all the boring, repetitive work for you. All that standard, boilerplate code for creating, updating, and deleting data, it's handled automatically. This is a game changer because it frees up your developers to focus on the stuff that actually matters, the unique business logic that adds real value. All right, theory is great, but let's make this real. Let's get our hands dirty. We're going to walk through the most important steps of building a simple vendor rating app to see exactly how these principles look in practice.
We're jumping right into the guts of our application here, the core data model. This isn't just about laying out some fields in a table. This is where that whole clean core strategy gets translated from an idea into actual working code.
And check this out. This one single line of code, this is everything. Instead of that old, risky way of grabbing data directly from a raw database table, we're creating an association to I-supplier. That is a stable, official, released API from SAP. Boom! That's the clean core strategy right there in one line. Our app is now connected to standard data in a way that is absolutely guaranteed to be safe during an upgrade. Next up, we tell our app what it can do. And again, look how simple this is. The keyword managed implementation is basically you telling the framework, hey, you got this, handle all the basic database stuff for me. And then we add our own special sauce with validation validate score. That one little line tells the framework to automatically run a check. For example, to make sure our rating score is always between 1 and 10. It's just so elegant and powerful.
Now, this is just smart design. We create a totally separate layer just for what the user sees. We call it a consumption view.
This keeps our main logic pristine and clean. In this view, we can pick and choose only the fields the user actually needs to see, we can hide all the technical junk, and basically art direct the entire user experience without ever messing with the core engine.
And here is where the magic happens. This is the big payoff for all that careful work. The SAP Fiori Elements framework, it just reads all those little notes and annotations we left in the UI layer and poof, it automatically builds a complete, gorgeous, feature-packed user interface. All that front-end coding work is just done for you.
Okay, so we've built a great app for a human user to click around in. But what if another program needs to talk to our app? How does it create or update data safely? Well, for that, there's a special dedicated language called EML, or Entity Manipulation Language. It's the safe, structured, modern way for code to control a RAP application.
And using EML is super clean. It follows this really logical four-step dance. First, you prepare the data you want to change. Second, you use the modify command, which puts your changes into a temporary holding area. Third, you handle the results, which tells you if your change was successful or if it failed one of our business rules. And finally, if everything looks good, you commit the changes permanently to the database. It's predictable and it's safe.
Okay, now lean in for this one, because this is super important. You have to use the command commit entities. The older command commit work will basically hotwire the car. It completely bypasses the entire RAP framework, all those validations and checks and balances we so carefully built, like our score check, gone. Only commit entities triggers the proper save sequence and guarantees your business rules are always enforced. Whew, okay, we've gone from big, high-level ideas all the way down to tiny, specific lines of code. So let's pull back up to 30,000 feet and talk about why any of this really matters. What's the real, tangible payoff here?
So when you boil it all down, here's what you get. First, and this is the big one, your custom apps are truly upgrade safe. That nightmare problem we started with, solved. Second, they are wicked fast because of that whole code to data trick. Third, they are built for the cloud from day one, so they're totally scalable. And maybe best of all, your development teams can build things so much faster because they're not wasting time on boilerplate code, they're focused on delivering real business value.
And that really brings us to the final and maybe most exciting idea. For decades, everyone was so scared of touching the core system, right? That fear limited what you could even imagine doing. But if you have a foundation that you know is stable, that you know is clean, that is designed not to break, well, that changes everything. It opens up a whole new world of possibilities. So the real question to leave you with is, what could you build?